There it goes. There it goes. I should have audio now. Can you hear me? So, Peter, you able to hear me now? Hopefully you can. I see my my mixer moving, but I appreciate it, man, because I completely missed it. Did not realize my audio was not working. And it's odd, man. I fix it every time, but it seems like for some reason on Streamlabs. So I'm using Streamlabs and causing issues. Yep, clear. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. All right, man. We're about to start in a minute. I was just getting some things set up. We're gonna be going over. So again, guys, the live stream, ask questions, whatever you want. I mean, any whether it be programming related, AWS, it doesn't matter, right? I'll try to answer any of your questions. I did get a request from a viewer. They emailed me earlier about can we kind of review some AWS Lambda, create some event triggers based on S3 objects being created, stuff like that. So we're kind of gonna go over a few things over AWS, Python as well. So it'll be a combination, some Python code. We're gonna deploy it to AWS Lambda, and then ultimately build some events in S3 bucket. Hey, what's up, Python developer? Yep, I do got tequila, man. I do got me some tequila. So the tequila that I'm gonna be drinking today called Suero. So this tequila, it's not expensive, but it's good. It's actually real good tequila for the price. Like compared to a lot of the name brand tequilas out there, Patron and stuff like that, dude, this one kicks his butt, and it's not that expensive either. It's $30, so you can't beat that, and it's real good, man. I gotta say, real good. Um, but yes, we are gonna go over the SharePoint to S3, kind of go through that process. Ultimately, we're gonna deploy the Python code that I do have. So I made some tweaks, and I'll review with you right now in a minute the tweaks that I made, because we'll see if it works. But initially with SharePlump, we were having issues because of a specific package that SharePlump requires. I switch, and I'm using a different package. I'm not using SharePlump no more. I'm using the Office 365. What's the actual name? Office 365 REST. That's not the name of the package. Office 365 package. That's what I'm using. Can you send tequila in the giveaway? No, that I cannot do. Oh man, there's some tequila that I have found that are like ones that I'm looking for because they're kind of rare to find, and they have them in California. California, like one of those states that's very known to have some of these rare tequila, just because it could get crossed over from Mexico to California, but they don't ship to us. So like, damn it, they ship a lot of other states, but not here to Texas, which I don't know, I don't get it. But yeah, yep, I'm gonna be drinking my tequila. We're gonna be talking Python, AWS, Lambda, all of that stuff. And again, guys, if you have questions that we kind of go through it, go ahead and ask. Be more than happy to kind of give you some insight or input to what we're doing. So hopefully, it makes sense, right? Or you're learning as well as we're going. So I mean, don't feel free to ask whatever questions you want to ask. So give me about 30 seconds, and then we'll get started. Um, all right, cool. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Let me see. Let me move some stuff to the side. Yeah, I could share this. Should be fine. So I'm going to share my screen. Boom, there it goes. But like always, guys, before we actually get into it, let me pour me some tequila. So this is not a new tequila. Normally, I do buy new tequilas to taste. This tequila is not new. I had it before. Actually, I had it more than once. And dude, it is good. Like, for the price, I gotta say, man, there's a difference, man. It's not always price. You know, there's some tequila that you pay $50 for, and they're not that good. And then, of course, there's others that you could find for the same price or even cheaper that are like just way better, man. I am going to buy a gift card, a gift credit card, so I could pay whatever I can to you via the support portal. That's fine, man. Again, you don't have to, by all means. Like, there's not, you know, don't feel that you have to. I guess what I'm trying to say. I mean, if you want to, by all means. But if you need the cash or, you know, things of that nature, by all means, do not feel obligated or feel that you have to either. So, I mean, I do enjoy joining, being here in the live streams with everybody and, you know, talking tech, code, Python, all that stuff. So, I mean, I do enjoy it as well, by all means. Yeah, it's not like I'm doing it and I don't enjoy it, because I do. All right, guys, let's get started. So we kind of started this a while back. Those of you who are new, we had some issues. And one of the videos that I had before, which is a SharePoint to S3 video using Python, I have the file here too. I used SharePlump package to connect to SharePoint and download and move the files over. Right, so that's kind of one of the things that I did in that video. Well, there were some issues. One of the issues was related to one of the packages that's being utilized for SharePlump, which is, let me make sure it's not being utilized here. Nope, it's not. But it was the XML package. So that was causing issues because there were some C compiled files in that package. So ultimately, you have to package. You have to build your environment and deploy. Either way, it was causing issues, wasn't working. So what I decided was, like, all right, let me find another way. So another way to still connect to SharePoint and download the files was to use this package, which is going to be this guy here. I'm going to be making a few videos related to this package, because this package is a bit more powerful, has more features than SharePlump. So I'll be making a video related to this guy over some of the things that you can do with SharePoint, you know, files, whether it be accessing metadata, shareable links, things of that nature. There's more stuff you could do. So, but nevertheless, this is a package that I installed. I did test it out and it worked. And it worked fine. So this is not an issue. This is actually working fine. What I ended up doing, and this is going to be for the purpose of for us deploying this to AWS Lambda, I created this new file called Lambda function. So by default in AWS, and you'll see this in a minute, whenever we create a new AWS Lambda function, for example, there is a configuration where it's looking for a specific file to execute. In this case, it's going to be lambda function.py. Now, you could change it. It doesn't have to be that, but just to keep it simple right now, I created a file with the same name, and I'm putting all of my code in here. I'll put all my variables in here, and a lot of these variables is going to get set in our environment variable configuration in our function, and we'll do that after the fact. And I'll show you how to do that and where to do that in Lambda. But as you could tell, this Lambda handler it's what's going to get executed, right? So because it's calling this file and it's looking for this function, this is what it's going to execute. Now you could tell I'm calling this other function called get files, and of course this is where it kind of is doing its thing. I'm providing a variable which is called folder name, right? This is the one part of our environment variable list that we're going to have. It's going to be called folder name. Folder name pretty much represents you can tell over here, SharePoint folder name. So for example, if you have a a SharePoint name, and you'll see my example. It'll be this, and then, and if you're dealing with subfolders, you could do / then subfolders. So just kind of FY. Then of course all this other stuff down below. It's again, if you have seen the video before of the what I made, SharePoint to S3, this code is all the same. This did not change. The only thing that did change was the code inside this class SharePoint. That did change. There were some things that I had because I'm using the new package, but it's still doing the same thing, right? Downloading files and then we're gonna upload it to S3 bucket. So let me see. The only thing I need to do here is going to be well, no, you know what? I'm already calling that class. This is SharePoint class download file. Nope, I don't even need to do nothing. So this guy I don't need. I'm gonna comment that out because it's ultimately bringing in this. So here's the other thing. I put everything in one file. I had two files, which was my project file initially, then my Office 365 REST PY file. So what I did, I kind of put everything in one file, just to kind of keep it simple and to be able to deploy it easier. But you could have multiple files. This is just try to keep it simple for now. So now that we have that, let's see. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's do a few things. Let me open up. Let's go to Lambda functions. So I'm logged into. Damn, why is this small? Make it a bit bigger. So let's go to my dashboard. So if you go to when you're in AWS Lambda, you got your dashboard, the amount of functions and so on. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna create a new function, right? So in our case, just go to create functions. We could just create one from scratch. I think that should be fine. So let's create one from scratch. Let me call this SharePoint to S3. Let's just call it that for now. This is going to be Python, so we're going to do Python 3.9. That's fine. So this is we have ARM. ARM is your like the chipset that you use on your cell phones or even like the Mac M1. Then of course this is your AMD Intel type chipsets. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Nope, we could leave that as is. That's fine. So let's create function. I'm telling you, this tequila is good. Has a real good smell to it as well. The flavor is good, man. Like I gotta say, for being a $30 tequila, man, it is real good. All right, cool. So now that we have this, see how we have this Lambda function, right, created, and then of course we have our code here. But here's the thing: if we were not using any third-party packages, we could just copy our code, save, run, and we're good to go. Now, since that's not the case, it's a slightly different process. What we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to build our dependency, our package with all our dependencies, right? Third-party packages. We're gonna have to build that, put it together, and then we're gonna have to zip everything up. After we zip it up, then we have to load it. It may be too big. I'm not sure. I have a feeling it is going to be too big because there is a limit. So because it gets so in AWS Lambda, you have two ways. You could let me go to here it goes, upload from. See how it says zip file and then S3. So we click on zip file. I think it may tell us here. There it goes. See how it says 10 megabytes. Well, back in the day it used to be like 70 megabytes. Well, now it says 10. They reduced it down. My guess is they're doing that because they don't want you to probably upload it this way. They really want you to store it in S3 bucket. and then Lambda would just go access it from S3 bucket. That's my guess is what they want, because they didn't expand this to allow larger packet files, zip files. They made it smaller, so they're only allowing this more for very small projects. Our project, I'm pretty sure once I zip it up, it's gonna be more than 10. I think we'll see, but if it is, we'll put an S3 bucket, and ultimately it will get imported in that way, which is fine, not a big issue, but it will get imported in differently. So now that we have this created, let's go ahead and get that package. So what I'm gonna do here is let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to let me see. There it goes. I'm gonna have to get that set up. So let's do that right quick. So let me open up my terminal. Make sure it's big enough. So right now I'm inside my project, my folder, right, which is Python Office 365 REST. So as you could tell, we have all of the files, even the newer one that I created, this lambda function.py, right? So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to need to do a pip install, but we're doing it to another folder. Whenever you create a virtual environment, it installs. So whenever you create a virtual environment, it creates an instance of the interpreter. Then you can start installing packages, right? So when you start installing packages, you do a pip install, whatever package you want to install. Well, in our case, we're doing a pip install, but it's going to, which is going to install all of these files here. But in the same time, it's going to package it to its own folder, right? So let's go ahead and do that. It will be. Let me activate it first. So what I would do is source env script activate pip install target. I'm gonna call this package, and this would be a read requirements file. So we're gonna read this requirements file. We're gonna package it into this folder, and that's what this is doing. So let me go ahead and run it. Boom. So it's pretty much installing everything that I have in my. So if I go back, we should see a new folder here. There it goes, package. Yep, new folder called package. And it's installing everything, the requirements file, which is right here. All right. Cool. Now that that's done, we have our package file. Next, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to step inside our package file, right? So once we're inside our package file, we're going to have to zip the package file. So let me get. So for Linux and Mac, this kind of exists already by default. For Windows, it does not. There is an executable zip that you, zip application that you could download. I believe it's on like I'll try to find the link and I'll put it in the title in the body of this stream. But where you could go ahead and access it. But for Windows, you do have to kind of download that. So in this case, it would be this zip.exe. Well, let me do this double quotes. And then we're gonna read. We're gonna go back 2 levels, and then we're gonna save it. In this case, we will save it as I don't know. Let's call it my packages .zip. Oops. So maybe I don't need double quotes. Let me remove it and let's see. Nope. What am I missing? Hold on. Zip error. Nothing to do. Oh, my bad. My bad. Damn it. So at the end of my package.zip, it will be space, period, which is everything. That's what it's saying, everything inside that folder. There it goes. Now it's grabbing everything. So pretty much it's grabbing all of my my packages that I installed in the package folder, and it's pretty much zipping everything up. So now let me go back. And there it goes. See my package zip, right? You can see it here. So now that I have that, what I'm gonna need to do is I'm going to need to add my file, this Lambda file function, which has all my code. I'm gonna need to add it to this zip file. So the way we do that, it will be same thing. I need to make sure to call my zip executable G. In this case, it would be called, what is it called? My package.zip, and then it will be my Lambda function. There it goes. Boom. So you can see it added this inside my zip file. All right. So now that we have done this, this should be it. Now let me go back. Let me go to my S3 bucket. Lambda source code. Yep. So I have a bucket for it. Pretty much I don't need this. I'm gonna remove this. Is some of the older ones, but again, this one was SharePlump. I'm hoping we don't have issues with the Office 365 package, but I know with SharePlump it was a specific package that was causing issues, and I did some research, and it seemed like I wasn't the only one. There was other people having issues as well. So I'm gonna upload that file in here. Let me go to my C, and it's gonna be, there it goes, my packages, right? My zip file. Open that up, upload. Cool. So now that's good. So now let me go back to my Lambda function, and under upload from, I'm gonna specify AWS S3. See how it wants the full link pass? So let me kind of go back, click on it, and let me copy it under object URL. Then let me hit save. So what I want to do now, let me go back to my buckets. Oh yeah, I need to do it too. So see how we have this SharePoint, I spelled it wrong, which is fine, but SharePoint ETL testing 2 staging. Got a few files. I'm gonna delete these. Boom. All right, so that's deleted. All right, cool. So all right, what I was gonna do is I forgot there's something else I need to do. So see how we have all of the variables here? All of these I need to set in Lambda. So let's kind of walk through a few of them. Some of them I could show and it wouldn't be a problem. There's some, of course, like my access key that I won't be able to show. But let's kind of walk through the one that I need to show. Like here's a good one, right? SharePoint folder name, which is going to be this guy right here, YouTube 2022. So let's copy this. And let me go back. So if we go and under our Lambda, see how we have this configuration tab? Let's go ahead and go to configuration and see where it says environment variables. This is where we're going to have to set all of our environment variables in here. So let's go ahead and edit, and then I'm going to add one. So my key is this. Then of course my name would be. You know what? I don't think that's the right name. Let me log in to Office 365. Yep, there you go. I'm already in. SharePoint. Development. Documents. There it goes. Called data. That's what it's called. Data 2022. Boom. That's it. So now let me go back. So this would be called. Damn, where is it at? There it goes. So this would be called data / 2022. So this is what we would have to do for each variable, right? We're kind of doing that here, but of course we're doing it in this .env file. The difference now is with Lambda, there is a configuration section for environment variables. So we're gonna have to set it in there. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. So that's one of them. Then of course we have all these other ones, which in this case would be SharePoint user. And let me kind of go through and start setting everything up. Let's see. So the next one is called SharePoint user. SharePoint password. SharePoint URL. SharePoint site. SharePoint doc library. Access key. So this is all AWS now. AWS access key. So here's the other thing too, and actually I did not test this out on Lambda, but it should work. But I think there is another option, another way to do it. Since we are connected, whenever I ran this code, I ran it locally. So because I'm locally, I did need to use the API key, the access keys, to be able to access the S3 bucket services. Now, since the code is going to run in Lambda under the same environment, like under the same virtual private network, I don't think we need access keys, but there is something that I think we need to do slightly different. But for now, we'll run it like the way we've been running it with access keys, and then later on we could adjust for it, to run it without it, since it is running under the same environment, like the same network. I think that's it. So let me make sure. Okay, so let me start putting some of this information in. Some of it I'm gonna show. It's not an issue. So like this document library that I have is pretty much shared documents, which is, you don't see it, but it's this guy here. Underneath, it's really called shared documents. You kind of see it here in the URL. See, shared space documents. They just don't call it shared document. They just call it shared docs. So let's see, what's the other one? Okay, so the other one is going to be the bucket. See how down here I have bucket name? Well, this is a bucket that I'm going to want the files to get dropped into, right? This bucket here. So same bucket. And then also, see how I have bucket subfolder, which is called staging. So again, you can specify what subfolder you want the file to drop into. So that's another variable that I'm setting. Then of course my SharePoint site, which as you could tell, see how it says sites development, because that's where I'm in right here, right? Development. If you're in a different site, just make sure to put in the right site, whatever your site is. And then of course I have my SharePoint URL, which is just that piece. Then the rest, it's my other information. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and let me go ahead and put all of that information in right quick. What are access keys? So that's what I need. So I need access key, then I need secret key. And let me save. cool. Now that I have that saved, let me go out of it. All right, cool. All right, so I've filled in the other ones. I hit save. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else to it. So what should happen now is whenever it runs, it should. But before we do that, let me just check something real quick. You know what? Not here. Let me go to the folder. One of the things that I wanted to see was, I think, this guy. Let me open this up real quick. So one thing I am going to have to change, I just thought about it right now, and this is the way I'm calling my variables, right? So because we're using environment variables that are configured on AWS side compared to a .env file like that's locally. Let me kind of move this to the side. See how over here I had to bring in this environment env class, and then ultimately I'm reading the file, and then I'm able to kind of assign my variables. But in this case, we're using the OS environment to be able to extract the actual environment variable from AWS, right? So I need to actually change it, so which means I'm going to have to recompile, not even recompile, my bad. I just need to make this change and then ultimately re-add this file back to the zip file. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So it would be OS square brackets. So now let's do that for all of them. Again, slightly different than what compared to what we're doing running it locally, but it's fine. All right, cool. So now that we have that, let me save it. Let me go back to my terminal. So what I'm going to have to do here is re-add this file back to my zip. Boom. All right, so I re-added it. And now I need to redrop it. I need to redrop it back to my bucket. So let me go ahead and I don't have to delete it. So let me should overwrite it. Let me go ahead and drop the new one again, the updated one. Yep, there it goes. This has been updated. Let me go back, click on this. Where is my, let me re-upload it S3. Save, cool. Alright, so here's how big is the file? I should have checked the file as well. See how this file is 16.4 megabytes. So it would have been too big anyways for us to upload it directly to zip file, right? Because only 10. So I would say normal practice, and I would probably keep that in mind when you're working on projects, especially if it's going to be for like corporation. Most likely the standard should be create a bucket that's going to be used for your deployed packages, your source code, and just drop it in there in a zip file, and then just bring it in through AWS S3. That I would just kind of make that the standard, unless you're really dealing with something so small, or maybe something that doesn't even require third-party packages, just requires a file, like some kind of basics code, then that's a little bit different. So now that we've done that, we have our environment variable configured. We uploaded our package, right? I want to, all right, see how right under handler it says lambda function dot lambda handler. So keep that in mind. Right now, our project is coming from a file called lambda function dot py. So that name here pretty much represents this here, and the lambda handler represents this function here. But let's say your function that executes is different, or the file is different, then that's where you have to change it. You just go to edit, and then you can specify here, change the file, whatever your file is, then it'll be dot whatever the function is that is going to run. So that's kind of how you would do it. So now that we have that, let's test it out. So what happened here? No module name. Oh, did I not? Let's see. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, it's this guy. And this is not needed. Alright, so let me comment that out. Let me comment this out. Alright, cool. So now let me go ahead and I need to repackage it again. And then let me go ahead and upload this back to upload. All right, cool. Close and go back. All right, let me go back to code. S3. Let me put the URL for the package. All right, cool. Now let me go back to test. Test. Okay, it's running. All right. Damn it. All right, let's see what happened. Task timeout after 3.0 seconds. All right, so it doesn't tell me what happened. Let me maybe it does tell me. All right, hold on. I think we made some progress. Here's one of the files. So let's see what happened here. Duration, memory size, max memory used, 58 MB, blah blah blah. So it connected. I could see here's a file right here. Like it actually accessed one of my files, which is this guy. All right, so let's see, why did it fail? What happened? I wonder if it failed because it took too long. I mean, that's almost what it seems like. Like it took too long. Build duration 3,000 milliseconds. Yeah, that seems kind of odd. I'm trying to think if there's anything and other details associated with that logs. So it started. Look, that's good. It got the name back. Like that's awesome. Like that tells me that it connected to SharePoint and it was able to get the file name. Here it goes right here, right? My site data 2022 customer January. That's good. And then it ended right here. What happened? Memory size. Task timeout after 3 seconds. So let me see. All right, so let's take a look at it. Let's go back. Let's go to let's see. So let's look at our configuration. So we're dealing with 128. Timeout 3 seconds. Let me edit this. All right, I don't want this timeout in 3 seconds. There you go. This probably will it. So I want this to time out. I don't know. Let's say 3 minutes. Right, 3 minutes probably good. Good enough time. 3 minutes. Save. Now let's go back to test again, and now let's test it again. So I saw it connect. That's the good thing. Let me go to my bucket. Oh, we got one file. That's good. One file is dropped in. 2 files dropped in. 3 and 4 files. I think that's all we have, right? 4 files. Yep. Nice. No errors. Cool. So we got it to work. So this, again, I had to switch packages from SharePlump to Office 365. Which I would say so far, me playing around with Office 365 package, I think it has more features. So I'm probably going to start using that more often than what I've been. I'll be making a video kind of going into it more details. Hey, but it worked. You know, the files got moved over. We see them dropping in here. So that's good. So here's, I'm trying to think now, like in your use case, right? So since we're running code to move files over from SharePoint and drop them to an S3 bucket, which is kind of like the main step, right now we don't have no way to know that their new files have been if SharePoint group is private, will this work? So I'm assuming when you say private, do you mean private to your user account, like you don't have access to it at all? Or your username does have access to it, but it just happened to be a private SharePoint? Because if you have access to that SharePoint site, right? A lot of corporations may have mini SharePoint sites, accounting, sales, and so on. And, you know, every SharePoint site is restricted access for like groups. Like you got to be part of this group in order to have access to the SharePoint site. As long as you have access to the site, you should be able to access it as well, through the way I did it. Now, if you're telling me that your credentials do not have access to that SharePoint site, but you still need the process to run and do its thing, then that's a different issue. I think what may need to happen there is, I know Office 365, I have access, but group is private, which is still should again, it should be fine. We would have to test that out to confirm, but it should be fine though, as long as you have access. And again, even though I know you're saying in private, but as long as you're able, your credentials are, you're able to see the files, you could go into the folder and the files, the one that you're trying to access, like just kind of like if you were to log into SharePoint, if you're able to click on the documents, click on data, and see the files and folders, right? Like if you're able to do this, with your credentials, you should be able through the API, it still should be able to access these same files as well in that folder. Again, I would have to test that out to confirm, but I'm just thinking more in theory, and it should work. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't work, because then that wouldn't make sense on why, you know, from a UI, your login is able to connect to it, but through the API it would not under the same credentials. But again, that would be something that would require testing, or just try it out, right? Like, if you were to deploy this to your AWS Lambda, run it, try it out. So how many Python code are required to implement this flow? Say that again. So it says, so how many Python code required to implement this flow? So you're talking about like what code was needed, I guess, or what is required. So from a code base, pretty much this file that we have here, Really, the only package that we're bringing in is Office 365. And then, of course, we have all of our variables that we're using in our in our script. We have our starting function, and then from here we have all the other functions that do different things, right? Function for AWS to S3 bucket, build subfolder names, get files, and then get files by pattern and so on. Then of course we have our SharePoint class, which this is where we're actually connecting to SharePoint. But nevertheless, all of this kind of packaged into one file. Initially in my video that I had before, I had it in two files, to kind of separate the code. In this case, just kind of keep it simple, put everything into one file. Because this is, at least, I could be wrong, and let me know your thought process, but I'm trying to think, if you're bringing in files from SharePoint, let's just assume for now that you're running the process, I don't know, 3 times a day, where you call SharePoint, you're bringing all the files, just like the way I did right now, right? Okay, one file. Yes, right now it's all in one file. The Python code is all in one file. And, again, I packaged everything up into one file, which is this, to pretty much make that happen. The only thing, so in reality, the only thing that needs to be changed here is really not necessarily with the code. It's more with the variables that were configured. But all of that's configured through Lambda configurations. None of it's configured here in the code base. So once you deploy the code, it's strictly through the Lambda. If I go back, let me make sure I don't have nothing here. Configurations. If you go to environment variables here, I don't want to click it because I do have some stuff that probably can't show on the live stream. But nevertheless, you click it, it will show all of the variables that that we kind of walked through the process earlier. Configured. You could change it from there. So if you ever needed to change it, you could do it through there as well. Instead of saving all 4 files in one bucket, if I want to store in 2 buckets, then 2 lambdas, I'm trying to think. I know what you're saying. So we do have logic. Well, so let me put it this way. If you're pulling data, let me kind of come back. Here's probably a good example. See how I have a data folder, and in my case I have year 2022. But let's say in your case you had something slightly different, right? You had let's say 2 folders. One of them was called sales, and let's say you had another folder called calls, right? I just call it sales and calls. So each folder, again, you have sales data in one folder, then you have calls in another folder, which are completely different data sets, different formats, and so on. So I think in this case, you could have 2 Lambda functions running. In reality, though, they're kind of the same Lambda function. The only difference is you're pulling from a different folder. So I honestly, the way I would probably do it, and we have to tweak the code, but the way I would do that is I would make it a URL Lambda function where we could access it through the URL. So function URL. And ultimately what this means is, the only thing about it is that there would be some additional setup that we would have to make sure that whoever's using it has the right authority, things of that nature. But this will be another option without having to create many Lambda functions, right? So the way it would work is, think of it no different of any other URL. So let's assume we have the URL, it's something like AWS. I'm just making this up, right? But lambda.com, and then it will be the name of the function, right? So just, I don't know, what did I call it? SharePoint to S3, and then you'll pass in some sort of a parameter, which the parameter could be, in this case, folder. And then, of course, it would be like kind of what we had, where it would be data / I think I'm trying to think of what it is. You have to do something like what %20, whatever it is though. But ultimately, like data / 20. What do we call it? Cells, right? Cells. And then ultimately, if you want to go to another bucket, it would be bucket name equals, I don't know, whatever you call it, SharePoint ETL. Let's say it's the same bucket, right? So the bucket could be the same. So maybe we don't. It's not bucket name, but it's maybe bucket sub folder, and then this would be, we'll create a staging. So it'll be like staging / cells, right, or something like that. So this will be the more ideal way, because ultimately you do it this way, you're using one Lambda function, but you're changing the arguments, through the URL to kind of determine from which bucket to pull, and then from which folder from SharePoint to pull files from, and then which bucket to load files to. Which is more ideal because you're reusing the same code. So that, again, that's the more ideal option. But there are some things that would have to get set up as well. Like we kind of saw, there's some permissions when you run it. For example, if you put none, there is no permission needed to run. But at the minimum, when you would have to be part of the virtual private network of AWS. So think of it as you probably most likely would have to be part of your corporate network in order to run that URL type deal. Again, it just depends, but that's kind of the way that would work. So let's see, what else did you said? Now, how to schedule this event bridge. So that's what I was going to ask you though on the schedule piece, because Event Bridge does have access to other applications. I don't believe, and let's take a look at it. I don't think it has access to SharePoint, which means if it doesn't, I could be wrong. Maybe you mentioned it does have access to SharePoint, but I don't recall seeing it. Anyways, so let's take a look at it real quick. Let's just call this SharePoint download files. Run with the event pattern. Run on a schedule. So in this case, let's do schedule for now. For the schedule dates will be generated. So like this case will be every hour. I don't know, so maybe it runs every, like, say it runs every 8 hours, 3 times a day, right? So that's kind of what this is doing. So this is where, see how we have AWS services? So this is more internally, right? Let's see, it should have access to Lambda. Then Lambda does SharePoint API call. Not to. So let me kind of go back. You just want to schedule the Lambda, right, to run, just to make sure, right? Because if that's the case, let me go back to Lambda. Let me go back to configuration. See how we have triggers here? So under triggers, let's add a trigger. Let me make sure. Is it under triggers? You know what? Maybe it's not under triggers. No, let me go back. So let me go back to my Lambda. I think there's a way where we could just schedule it directly without having to use Event Bridge. I believe so in a way. That's what I'm trying to see real quick if that's the case. Or maybe not. Damn, I thought there was a way. General configuration. Let me come here. Yes, okay. So let me just make sure that there's not. I don't know why, man. I swear I thought there was a way where you could just have this run on schedule, right? But I could be wrong. Maybe it is. Maybe we do need Event Bridge for that. Let me just see real quick. Google this schedule AWS Lambda function. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. I was just trying to see because I know with S3 bucket, like you could there's ways we could use Event Bridge for S3 bucket triggers, but what I noticed is S3 bucket has configuration to do event triggers internally within the the S3 service without even to set up Event Bridge. So instead of having to even set up Event Bridge for triggers on S3 bucket, it has it kind of baked built in. I don't know what is different work in console directly versus Terraform versus Cloud Foundation versus CDK. I guess, are you asking like what's the difference? So what I was trying to see here is if they actually had some sort of just trigger mechanism, right? Like I know there's a trigger function, but this is more it does trigger, like it should run, but it's based on some kind of other action that occurs, which is not kind of what we want here, right? Here's the Event Bridge, so that's what we would have to use here. Existing rule. I don't know if we have an existing rule. No, let's create a new rule. And let's call this SharePoint download files. That will be our rule name. Schedule pattern. So let's see. Let me look at their expressions real quick. But to come inside S3, we need to still schedule, right? Example, I want the file to load 9 p.m. every day into S3. We will schedule it, right? Yes. Yes. Where did it open up that? Let me right click. There it goes, right here. I missed it. So let me find the patterns. So let's see. So it'll be rate 1 minute, 5 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day. I guess let's do, I don't know. Let's do 1 hour for now, just for the purpose of testing. So the way it would be done, it would be 1 hour. Let me see, does it want? No, that's not what it wants. Let me make sure. Why am I getting the invalid input? Oh, do I need to put rate? 1 hour. There it goes. So I do have to put rate. So in this case, if I want to run one, But you know what? That would mean it would run 1 hour from when I create it. So maybe that's not what we want. We may want to be more specific. So like in this case, for example, let's look at the different formats. You got minutes, hours, day of week, Monday through Friday. So star the months, which star means every month, every year. So let's say we want to run every day, right? It will be like this. Pretty much this is what we will probably do, something like this, right? With a question mark, and it will be every day. So let's do this, which is going to be this guy right here. Runs every day at 10 a.m. UTC time. So in our case, we're going to tweak that. Let's say we want this to run. What time is it now? It's 10. I want to try to put something. Do you guys try glue with DBT? What's DBT? So I do use glue. I actually use it quite often. But I just, a lot of the stuff that I use glue for is pretty straightforward, nothing too complex. You know, just data files drop into S3 buckets, and glue jobs are scheduled to run, extracts it, then loads it to either a data warehouse or a SQL Server database, stuff like that. Very little transformations, not too much. So let's do the schedule. We're dealing with the UTC time. Right now it's 10 p.m. Central. So UTC time is 5 hours plus 5 hours. So that means it would be 3 a.m. UTC time. And then the minutes, let me make the minutes be, what is it? Let me make it 10. So that means in 2 minutes from now, this job should run. If it works properly, I guess it should run. So let me hit add. Alright, cool. It was added. We got it on here. So to make sure that it runs, let me delete these files. Because if it runs, it should be running in the next minute and a half. Alright, so you can see our staging folder is empty. I have it scheduled to run. Damn, it doesn't. Okay, we got about a minute left. So it should run the next minute. So assuming that it does run. Let me go to monitor. Custom, let me check every minute. So if it runs, we should see some activity happening. And then that would be the way you would schedule it, to kind of have it run, you know, whatever time you want, right? 9 p.m., midnight, whatever it is, and ultimately it would just do the same thing over and over again. And of course, you can look at the notes to be more specific. Like what I did was an everyday run. You could do Monday through Friday by specifying it. So instead of having a question mark, you would do Monday through Friday, right? Like this, pretty much. So let's see. All right. So let's see if it runs or if it's running. No activity yet. Let me look at the bucket. Nope. No activity. Still nothing. I don't see nothing. So that tells me that it probably did not trigger. There it goes. Oh, we got files. Hey, we got files. It did work. Let me go back. I don't know why. It should have showed here that it ran. I mean, I have it at every minute. So, I don't know. Maybe it's off by a minute, like a minute delay. But it's showing no data. But either way, that's fine. Doesn't matter because we got data here, right? All of this dropped at 21:10, which in reality UTC time that makes it a 3:10, July 16th. So that it ran, it did its job. Yep, there you go. So now we have one count, and there you go. They were successful. So cool. We got that to run. So let's say the next, in my mind, if your next goal is going to be once the files are dropped from SharePoint to an S3 bucket, then ultimately, with EventBridge, we create a trigger to run at whatever time you want. And then from there, you could add on to it, right? Like you could have a another event in S3. So what I'm about to show you, just more to kind of keep in mind. So as you kind of start thinking of other ways to kind of what to do with the data, you kind of keep this in your mind too. If we go to our bucket and we go to properties, there's what's called event notification, right? So see how I added this because I was testing that out. But what this does is, and let me go ahead and delete, and we could add a new one. What event notification does, it kind of does what EventBridge does, but it's kind of more. It's not as feature rich, I guess, a little bit more basic, but it's the same concept. But ultimately, you can specify what subfolder you want it to run. Like in my case, it would be staging, right? You can specify which file. In this case, leave it blank. Doesn't matter. It could be all files. But here's the cool thing about it. You can specify on what, right? So maybe it's on all created objects, right? You could do that. And then if we scroll down, you can specify what do you want it to do. So if new files get dropped to the S3 bucket, you could have a Lambda function executed. And then we could select the Lambda function that we want, right? So this is where you could create another Lambda function that would say, I don't know, something like run glue job. Because now we have files in the S3 buckets and we want the glue job to run, which would, again, do your job, right? Do your whatever you're trying to do, which would be extract the data from your files, do some transformation if needed to be, and then you could ultimately load it to a data warehouse. And all of this would be all more so automated when you think about it, right? It'll be, you have one schedule that lets it run at 9 o'clock at night, drop the files to an S3 bucket. When files get dropped to an S3 bucket, this trigger, this event notification is going to execute, which ultimately means it's going to call a Lambda function, which will be a new Lambda function. That new Lambda function would ultimately have code to say, go and run my glue job. And then now when you run your glue job, it's going to extract all of your files in your bucket. Then, of course, load it to data warehouse or whatever it is. So yeah, we finally got it, man. We finally got it. What was holding us back the other time was because of that damn LXML package that SharePlump uses. But again, I switched over to Office 365. That doesn't use it. It works straightforward. It worked, it worked, right? So it didn't cause any issues. You're the best. You earn a virtual hug. I appreciate it. Again, man, I'm glad we solved it, man. I'm glad we solved the problem. I know we were stuck with this, so I mean, I'm happy that we're able to figure it out. And again, these are those issues when you're developing that you never know what you're gonna come across, man. It happens. Sometimes you're dealing with a package that's dealing with something that you weren't aware of and that causes issues, or like in this case, Lambda didn't like, so I had to switch packages to another package that does not have that issue, and ultimately it works now. And then, everything was pretty straightforward. I think even the EventBridge. So just also too, just kind of FYI, what we just did right now, I am going to make a video, like a more cleaner video. That's because I know there was a lot of stopping and figuring this out and checking this out. So now that we figure this out, I will be making a video to kind of go over this process, and then it'll be a lot cleaner and more just straight to the point of all the steps to do. Can you make a video of this and upload the code? I will. I'll make a video and then I will upload the code as well that I used, and I'll put into the GitHub account. So I'll add this to my list. I'll probably what I'll probably do, I may try to squeeze this in over the weekend to make the video. But for some reason, if I don't, I'll get it done early next week for sure. So, you know, just be on the lookout for the video. And then once the video gets uploaded, I'll make sure to upload the source code as well to my GitHub account. And you can kind of take a look at it and get it from there. So hopefully this helps, man. I mean, I know you're like learning, getting very familiar with AWS services. So hopefully a lot of the stuff that we're going through, you know, helps you out as well, right? You know, kind of gives you more insight of why we're doing certain things. And again, like, at least I try to in a way. I know sometimes I don't always do the best job, but I do try to explain sometimes even a little bit extra stuff that we go over, like even with the configurations and the variables and things of that nature. And of course, you know, we had to like tweak our code to make it fit, but ultimately that's what we did to assign the variables, which is way better because you can assign the variables here. Anytime you got to change, you know, change it up, you could just go in here and change it. You don't need to go into the source code, so you don't even have to touch the source code. Put it that way. Just change the variables and you're good to go. So hopefully this helps out. And so I am going to be pushing out a lot more videos, man. One of the things I told myself for this month, and maybe you noticed it or not, I don't know if you have or haven't, but this last week I've been pushing out a video every day. Every day since Monday, I published a video Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Earlier today I published a video, not counting the live stream. So my goal is for the rest of this month, I'm going to be pushing out a video every day. So that's the goal. I'm going to try to stick to it. I know it's not going to be as easy because some of the videos, there's some videos that may not take as long. Maybe it takes 30 minutes to an hour and I'm good. There's other videos that require some testing, or requires to try to figure things out or whatever. So it takes a little bit more time. You know, maybe it takes me 3 or 4 or 5 hours to do testing and figure all of that out. Then eventually, once I figure it out, then I got to make the video, which is another hour. Then, of course, I have to edit it and do all of that stuff. So, I mean, easily one video sometimes could be a couple of hours worth of effort, right? But nevertheless, though, that's kind of a goal, right? I guess that I kind of set myself to. I feel good, man. I feel, again, my channel's growing slowly, but it's growing. You know, subs is growing slowly. I think, honestly, where I saw my channel growing even more is on actual views. My viewer count is actually going up, you know, faster than subs, that's for sure. Which is what matters. That tells me that people are watching my videos, so that's a good thing. But again, man, I do have some plans of what I want to do with the channel. I know it's going to take time, and so I'm not expecting everything to kind of happen right now. But I am going to be challenging myself, and hopefully this month I could do that. A video every day, not counting live streams either. Just a video every day. And we'll see, man. If things go well, probably do that for the month of August as well. But it's going to be tough, but I think I could do it, man. I think I can. So that means a lot more videos coming out as well. So hopefully some of the new videos that I do be releasing, you know, bring some value as well to y'all. And again, if you have any requests of video that you want me to make, this is the time, dude. Email me. You could email me at my email account, which is contact@iamlou.net. Let me go ahead and put it in the chat. So it'll be contact@iamlou.net. You're more than welcome to email me there with any request that you may have like for a video, maybe like, hey, I'm stuck. Can you make a video over this or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. Send it to me, and I'll try to for sure squeeze it in. You know, put a video together. There's some video that I have in mind that I want to do, but they're video that I know that it will take a while. Like even the video aspect of it, it's gonna have to be a multi-part video. But on top of that, there's still some testing and things I need to do. So there's a lot of effort to be able to put that series of videos together. But again, that's kind of where I'm trying to go, like with my channel, right? Long term, like the way I'm envisioning my channel, if things go go well, keep growing, is like I want to do that because I know a lot of people. There's people out there that need some help, right? Or people that are learning certain technologies, whether it be programming or cloud services and things of that nature. Where in my mind, I kind of like, so kind of give an example. I see kind of like some of the big content creators now. They're very big now, so they have a lot of resource to do what they're doing. But even on the earlier stages, they were doing something similar, some certain things like that. Like whenever I see like Linus Tech Tips, for example, by all means, that's a big channel, but they're doing a lot of things. You have a team to help out and do research and do all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where I want to go with programming and cloud. Like really focus on Python programming specifically, and then also cloud services. Whereas people, like when new services come out for AWS, we'll test it out. It will be me and a small team. Like we will start doing our research, our testing, our pros and cons on how to use these new services. As people have need help on, hey, how do I, create a glue job, but also I want it to trigger it based on when new files get dropped in, and I want it to do X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah. To kind of show the steps and all of that kind of stuff, right? So we'll see, man. We'll see how things turn out, but God bless you, man. You're the best. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Can we discuss how to use step functions in AWS and orchestrate ETLs? Yeah, we could kind of walk through that. So I don't know. We have enough time to go through all of it, but yeah, for sure. We kind of go through some of that. I'll add it to the list. Let's do that. Let me add it to the list, and then we'll kind of start walking. On our next live stream, we could discuss that if you like, unless you have something else to discuss. But we kind of start talking about some of those functionalities for sure. Damn, I'm telling you guys, this tequila is good. There's something about this tequila, man. Like, I know it's how they make it, man. They make it very authentic. They're not adding additives and things of that nature. But dude, also for being as cheap as it is, dude, $30, like that is not a lot, man. For a good tequila, that is not a lot at all, man. That's awesome. This is one of my favorite tequilas, I gotta say. What was I gonna say? Yeah, one of the things I'm going to incorporate too. So you'll be seeing some videos related to database as well. So my background, the way I got into IT, I guess you could say, was not even programming. I really got in more because of databasing. That's what I learned first in the very big way back when I started. When I got my foot in the door. Probably been maybe like 12 years, man. I want to say that's where I started learning databasing first. SQL Server, and then of course views, functions, all of that stuff. Then eventually I ended up moving over to learning programming. And the two main databases that I'm actually in on a weekly basis, because that's what I use, Postgres and SQL Server. I have used Oracle, and I use MySQL. Redshift. Redshift is another one. I don't know why I left out Redshift. But again, I think of Redshift like Postgres. it's really based off the same engine. Um, that's why a lot of the syntax, even like for procedures, are similar. But that's why I want to make some videos related to that. I don't know if a lot of people really know that or not. That Postgres is really built off the my bad. Redshift is built off the engine of Postgres. It's like the core. It's kind of like you have different Linux flavors, but then you have like I use Pop OS, but Pop OS Linux, with Pop OS Linux, but then you have Ubuntu, and Pop OS is really built off of Ubuntu, So that's kind of the way I see Redshift and Postgres. It's kind of built off Postgres, but just you know there's some features that are built slightly different than Postgres, and that's kind of why it's more designed for a data warehouse instead of a traditional transactional database. But either way, stuff like that. I think that's some of the stuff I'm going to be incorporating into in some of my videos. Programming, Python specifically, databasing, in this case, Redshift, Postgres, and SQL Server. Then, of course, cloud services, which is AWS. And I'm also going to be doing some Azure stuff. I've been dabbling into Azure more and more, so I'll be making some videos related to that. So if you ever happen to work with Azure, at least, hopefully there's some videos that I make that may benefit you as well. Similar to SharePoint, can we automate OneStream? So OneStream, let me take a look at that. I think I looked into it the other time when you mentioned it. What the hell's going on? I don't know why it does this crap. Whenever I stream on Streamlab, my mouse, like even my keyboard, I could tell like disconnects, reconnects. It's very odd, man. So I'm not sure what's going on. OneStream, let's take a look at it. So OneStream, you're talking about the OneStream, the financial system, right? Just trying to make sure that we're talking about the same platform. Which I'm pretty sure that is what you're talking about. I just want to confirm. So let me share my screen, right? Probably easier if I share it. So you want to make sure this is the system that you're talking about, right? The OneStream system. Yes. Okay. So let me look into it. I don't think there's any connectors for one, right? It doesn't mean we can't connect to it, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything out of the box. And I want to say there's not. When it comes to let me go to services. I don't think AppFlow has that, which is fine. Again, I was just kind of curious if maybe they had something like that already connected, but I'm gonna say probably not, which makes sense. All right, which is not an issue. So I think for this, in order for us to connect, there's really a few things, but I'm not sure yet. I need to see what are their do their API. I mean, I'm pretty sure they do have a API for this. So there's a few things we'll have to look into their API. But glad I was able to research and found we could achieve with Lambda and schedule with EventBridge, and you finally develop it, man. May I can also think of solution architect as a career. Yeah, man, solution architect for sure. You can. Is that what you're trying to do? Is that kind of what you're trying to focus on? Solution architect. Because I think a lot of the stuff that we're going through that kind of falls in that bucket, right? You know, you're trying to. I have worked with before in the past. When I worked with some years back, it was a healthcare company. You know, we had a solution architect that we worked with, and a lot of the stuff that we're kind of dealing with here, you know, he kind of had to figure out. He didn't necessarily develop everything, but it was more so you don't unless you know what's capable, what's able to get done. Um, you know, you have a better idea how to do it. But he did some of it, just not. He wasn't too much in the weeds, like I was trying to say. Like he didn't have access to the AWS console manager to do everything, but he has some access to like database and some other services, things of that nature. Then the other stuff he had to kind of work with the developers and stuff or DevOps or whatever to kind of configure certain things. But that's cool, man. I mean, if that's what you're trying to get into, I mean, for sure, I think some of the stuff that we're going through would help out because at least you're getting exposed to what can be done, what cannot be done. You're seeing how we're doing it as well. So yeah, man, it's a big plus if that's the case. So for sure, I think this is one of the ones where it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be a bigger project. You know, for one, it's going to be looking at their API. You know, their RESTful APIs first, kind of review that aspect of it. But I think the more bigger piece here is going to be besides their APIs, it's going to be more so even access to their system. Unless they have some sort of, and I don't know if they do, but unless they have some sort of demo, I guess, or something, right? Without having to actually pay for the actual license. Well, they do have a request for, but again, this may be visually they show you the demo. It may not be where you could play around with it. So that's the only thing that's going to be kind of tough in these cases. So again, kind of going back to some of my ideas that we're trying to build my channel, right? These are some of the things that I kind of want to, as the channel grows and I maybe get to the point where I do have more, resources and things of that nature, right? Even, funding. Some of that, the whole purpose of that would be to kind of go for some stuff like this, right? Where maybe I do need to pay for a license for that software in order, and again, for the purpose of doing API testing and doing all that kind of stuff. And, like I know, so, a lot of the big ones, of course, would be like Salesforce and SAP and things of that nature. But those are more established. So there's a lot more video that you probably could find already. There are other ones that are not so much established. Those are the ones that's kind of hard to find even videos or anything that really shows how to do things. And the only way to really do it is to pretty much have access to the system, review the docs, APIs, things of that nature, and then start building away, right? Build connectors, and then from there, build, on what you're trying to build. So that's the only thing with this. Like I know with Salesforce as well, where I created a sandbox account, but it seemed the environment that they gave me does not have API access. The only one that has API access is the Salesforce that's enterprise, which is like their highest level platform. But that, in order to get a license for that, I mean, it's like a couple $1,000 just to even get started. And that's what makes it tough, because it's like, all right, well, damn, I'm trying to test it out, but in order to test it out, I need access. But in order to get access, you gotta have the highest license, which is thousands of dollars, kind of deal. But again, that's where it makes it always a little bit tough. It's almost like some of these platforms, in order to really to even get familiar with it, you either have to work for a company that's using it, and then by default you have access to it, and you learn that way. But again, that's some of the things that I do in my mind. I would love to do later on, right? That my channel grows and, start bringing in, money to kind of support some of these projects. Will be stuff like that where, okay, we'll purchase the license, and then by purchasing the license, now we have access to the API. Then we could test the crap out of it by doing all kinds of stuff to it and see what are different options that we have and what works well and all that stuff. And then of course make videos of it, right? Document all of that kind of stuff. So, but again, I mean, with time, I think all of that will come. Again, I'll take a look at it a little bit more on this, but again, the only concerns that I do have is not necessarily with the API documentation. I'm pretty sure I could find some documentation related to the API. It's going to be more so access to the system. I don't know that they provide a demo. What I may need to do is, and I will probably do this, I will probably reach out to somebody like a sales rep and ask them like, hey, I'm trying to learn how to access and get familiar with the API for the purpose of, I don't know, helping clients or whatever, just trying to make up something and see if maybe they give me a demo for like a 14-day or 30-day demo or something, right? If they're able to do something like that, then I think then we have a chance to then start testing and, access the system via API. And then once we do that, we kind of do what we did right now with Lambda, but with this. So let me see what I could do on that piece of it. And then if I could have some success on getting a sandbox environment, then I think we could, we could do something. Make a video related over that. No problem, man. No problem. Let's see. So I think that's probably it, guys, man. I think that's it for today. Unless y'all have anything. Y'all have any questions or y'all have anything that we may want to review, then yeah, let me know. But if not, man, this was a good live stream, man. We solved some issues, right? We solved some problems. That's what we're trying to do here. That's the whole purpose of the live stream. Try to, solve some of these problems, walk through the process. Sometimes it's not as easy. Sometimes we get stuck. That's fine, right? But we'll do our research. We'll do our testing. We'll figure it out. That's why I say we'll always figure it out. Sometimes it takes longer than what we expect, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. So it was a good session, guys. Glad that we were able to get that working. And again, it was one of the real nuances because it was related to a package that SharePlump was using that just was using C compiled files, and all of that just caused issues. So it was just one of the real weird scenarios, but nevertheless, figure it out. How to change packages from SharePlump to Office 365, which I'm actually glad that I did because I've been playing around with it more, and it's actually pretty feature rich. So I'm going to be making more and more videos related over that package because there's a lot of stuff you could do with that package. But yeah, again, that's what we do, man. Figure things out. Again, if you have anything that you want me to test, review, and so on, email me. I'll put on the list. I'm going to be making a lot of videos this month. Again, 1 video a day. So I'm going to be pushing it and be cranking out these videos. So hopefully a lot of good context be coming out this next couple of weeks. And again, guys, man, I do appreciate it. Appreciate all the support, the followers and all of that, man. I really do. And I do have big plans for the channel. And again, it's going to take time, but I think once we do get there, it's going to be awesome because I think it's going to benefit a lot of people, man. It really is. I think it's going to be a resource. Like, my channel will be a resource to help out a lot of people, right? And I don't mean people that are just already in the industry. I'm talking about even people that are trying to get started. Sometimes it's hard. Like, you could buy a book. It may help you out to some degree, but there's stuff that they skip and you just don't know. I think when you're watching a video, you're able to see things and you can see all the details, and not just that, but even live streams where we're kind of going through everything together. I don't know. I just feel that helps out a little bit more. in my opinion. But either way, guys, appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching. So also give me a follow, those of y'all. So this is my channel. This is where I do all my programming stuff. Like always recommend do stuff that you enjoy, that kind of brings enjoyment to you. And some of the stuff that I do, besides YouTube videos or coding or engineering and that kind of stuff, I game as well. The game I'm playing is Halo Infinite. So I'm actually going to play that in a few. Probably another 30, maybe like an hour or so from now. But either way, give me a follow on Twitch if y'all can. My channel is I Am The Real Lou. And that's where I go, just kind of relax, game, and again, talk to the, some of the people that join my live stream there. So again, guys, appreciate everything. And be on the lookout for a video of what we made. That should be coming out pretty soon. And thanks for everything, guys. Peace.